In fact, your employer, if they ask you for the marriage certificate, they would not be wrong, because the law uses the word wife. And we know that for one to be a wife, we know the different marriages that are actually allowed in Uganda. Okay. So you need to pay attention to some of those particular areas. Yeah. But you have 4 days as a male employee, and your wife has given birth, you will be given. For the woman, we also have the right to maternity leave of 60 working days. 60
working days?
Yes, 60
Let's clarify
working days.
This. What does that mean in terms of calendar months?
Yes.
What does it mean?
So we don't include weekends unless at your workplace, even before your maternity leave, you work 6 days. If you work 6 days ordinarily, then we shall actually count you 6 days. But if you work 5 days, we only count 5 days in every week, Monday to Friday. And also, if there is any public holiday that falls within this period, we don't include it. So we don't include public holidays, we don't include weekends. So that is how we get to that.
So Lydia, in simple terms.
Let me also add something. 60 working days fully paid for.
Okay.
Yes. We've seen some employers who say, take off.
Thinking is not very easy for everyone. Every time you sit to think about something, some people will tell you that was dumb, you don't have to go through it. And some people will tell you, or maybe, have you ever thought about thinking of something and you don't find a space or where to sit and do something? And maybe even your father doesn't allow you to have the garage at home, or even sitting under the tree at home, or in the kitchen to try and create something. And then they say you are not being sharp, you're not thinking out of the box. But the problem is, everybody needs somewhere and where to actually start the thinking process. Ladies and gentlemen, the thinking space in Uganda is very narrow for a creative. Have you seen these guys who have cornrows walking on the street with a backpack, and then everybody thinks that they are mad? They enter a restaurant and everyone sings, you know, like Alex Mukulu, please vayo, or something happens. So today on the Creative Industry Talk, we're talking about spaces and places where people who think and create things can go and actually have a place for them to do something. Well, those places are usually not very, very much available. We don't know whether it's only in Uganda, but it seems to be the case in Kenya, in Rwanda, in Burundi, in Africa, in Europe, and everywhere. Young people are often described as crazy people. Discussing and dismantling this topic on the show today are a group of people who have done it. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from France back to Uganda, the last time was saying light on, just light here. is Stella Atam. Stella, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much.
First of all, welcome home.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back home. I'm happy to be live in the studio.
Yes.
Not lights on, left, right, center.
Yes.
I'm so happy.
And of course, the judger of camera work in Uganda, the judger of film, the man who set the bar. You know, he appeared on the show last week, and I was told that, did you remember that we used to be paid 25,000 shillings for camera work? And we went, including myself, 25K was, order to pay. But welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear a different perspective all the way from Paris. The one and only Noah Robin, who is also, an engineer for textile design in France. She's a student in one of the universities in France, here with Stella Tal on a project. And of course, she's going to be doing something amazing with Stella. Noah, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bonjour, ça va?
Bonjour.
Ça va bien? We don't want Stella to start. The way Stella is sitting, she might start speaking French when we're here, but we are lucky to have you on the show.
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And so, guys, this is called the Creative Industry Talk, where we have a discussion about the creativity and the creative minds in Uganda. And today on the program, we want to start this program from a very interesting note. Most of you appeared on the show last week, and we're talking about creative spaces in Uganda and the future of the creative spaces in Uganda. For the very first time in the history of Uganda, we have a creative space, or we're beginning to think of creative spaces. Yes, we've had National Theatre, we've had the amphitheaters, this is where people go to showcase their work. This is where people go to do the drama and the plays. For those who are in the playwrights, for those who are in the, acting business. Now, for those who are singing, they don't even have places to go to think, first of all. Those who are doing camera work found themselves doing it inside their bedrooms. But there has never been a space for somebody to say, you know what, I want to create something where I'm thinking I'm crazy. Everybody is born with the DNA of creativity in them. It is only when we allow them to practice them that they come out. So last week on the show, we've received enormous over 500, responses on Facebook Live, on Facebook Messenger, making references. All sorts of emotions came out from the last week's show. And everybody was talking about the camera. You talked about it. If there was a space for them to go and sit about the pay of the camera operators in Uganda. Somebody talked about, they always call us the cameraman. I don't want somebody to ever call me a cameraman. I'm a camera operator. And could there be a space for us to discuss this thing? And Musta knows this very well. When you're a camera operator and they says a cameraman on the show, if you call this gentleman running the cameras here as cameramen, literally for a common person is understandable, but they don't just sit there and hold the camera as a man, they operate the camera. So, but there's no space for these people to sit and have a discussion about their fees, about the things they want to do. So that's a recap of what happened last week. People felt like Faisal talked very well about the issues of corporates coming into the show and making sure that, that issue of the basket you brought here with Faisal picked a big feedback. Nice. And then the one that was very interesting was receiving actually and having a phone call with Tony Otoa yesterday. And the Stanbic Bank Business Incubation Limited or Incubator Limited had a very interesting review of the show, and Tony Otoa requested for us to have a piece of that and send it to him, because you guys were making references, and I think that people are beginning to learn a lot from the discussion we had. Picking from there, Musta, the first question to you would be, what did you learn from the show last week, and how many people talked to you about last week? But just before we get into it, we're going to take a small break, and when we come back, we will dive into that conversation right away. Stay right there. Creative Industry Talk. We'll be right back after this break. people at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
Okay.
Yes.
I want us to talk about the corporate entities, the corporate society. I mean, the money comes from there to the creative art. For a long time, while the creative people are thinking the spaces to create this stuff, you know, most ad agencies are run by creative minds.
As well.
And these creative minds handles big projects coming from big corporations like MTN of this world, the Airtel of this world, and of course there are many others, you know, and NGOs. But quite often they don't quite appreciate the process of creativity. And if the creativity is not paid, is not rewarded by being paid, it becomes difficult for a creative person to even meet the bills of the process of creating or thinking creative, you know, for whatever they are trying to do. How can we, with this new invention of the creative spaces now for creative minds, for people who think, for people who write, for people who are thinking, for people who are, you know, inventors, to now be appreciated by creative people, I mean by corporate people, by people who consume our product? How can we motivate them to say, look, you now need to pay this thing. I'm no longer, you know, staying in my bedroom to create these things. I'm now sitting in this place where it's called an office, where I have a space. The rent
Bills to
in
pay,
there, bill to pay is this, and I need to pay this. How do we motivate these people, given this new, you know, space that we now have, which is an investment in itself in the creative industry?
I don't know. I think what we have to understand that the corporate world has not done justice to creativity.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
And yet they're the biggest beneficiaries.
Yes, they are the biggest beneficiaries. And for me, my observation over these past 15 years I've worked in the arts, I've not had a very successful engagement with any corporate company. Why? Because first of all, they follow populism. Like Chameleon has numbers, I'll support it. Balaam has numbers, I'll support that. And then it doesn't really do justice to the conceptual creative art that you need to present.
Yeah.
There are so many great artists here that could be supported by all these companies that are here, but they don't find value in it because they're always looking at the numbers. And of course, you know, the kickback. But the other thing is that when we look at the creative people in the advertising agencies, where they are creative, but they are not the final decision makers.
Yeah.
So their creativity ends where the agent wants it to end.
Yeah.
And they are managed by businessmen. So if it doesn't work for the guy at Coca-Cola or whatever, they're not going to do what? They're not going to accept it, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. And then the third thing I find it sad about the creative corporate world that they have failed is to invest in the future of creativity, of where they are benefiting. I don't think there has been any company here in Uganda that had said, let us invest in Monster to train young filmmakers, because they need these filmmakers to make them promotions, right?
Yes.
They run adverts every day, but have they ever caught mind to say, let's invest in Monster, who is one of the greatest filmmakers here, or the guy on the camera, to train other young people so that they can learn, so that we don't get this money that they pick every day, take to South Africa, take to Kenya, to make these adverts.
Yeah.
It's very simple. I don't think anyone had thought about that. but they need to consume. And if they find that the quality is not of what they expect, they shift it. They ship it to South Africa. They go to Kenya. So I think they have not done anything, and they shouldn't lie you when they said when we've supported Arakeri to come. Who benefits from Arakeri's arrival? You know, we've supported Chugunda. Who benefits from that? I think we need to think. They need to think about the future, and the future is not only just giving money to an agency to make adverts. It's also investing in institutions, in training spaces, in capacities, in venues and areas where people can have room and space to learn and be able to add on to what is there.
Wow.
None of them is doing that.
Wow. Musta, your take on that one. I mean, Faizo raises very valid points.
Those are very valid points, actually, Faizo. Thank you. But when it comes to my angle, I have a 50-50 on what Faizo was saying.
Yes.
There's a lot of information out there, as you know, for we creatives to consume, or to any other Ugandan, by the way, to consume. I can give you an example of the Stanbic incubator.
Yes.
That's something that we registered for this year as Ebony Heights, and we are attending. You know, the course, and it's amazing. It has opened our eyes to so many things that we did not even think about. Even us, when we're responding or talking to them, we tell them things and they're like, oh, wait a minute. Because I think we're the only filmmakers there. I don't know if there's any other that has been there before, but at least for this year, we're the ones there. And we're asking them or telling them things that they had not put into consideration, especially when it comes to our sort of business. You know? So it's amazing. All the creatives should actually think of such courses. It's free. You know, it's free, and we've learned so much from it. That's one. Two, the corporate world itself have got a way they do things that might not be applicable to most of us in the industry. One, most of them want to work with an institution, or let's say a registered company. They want to come to Faizo, and Faizo is Bayimba, but they want to talk to him as Bayimba. You know what I'm saying? So there's a way they do their things because of probably how their structure is designed. You know, so maybe we also as creatives, we need to have, what's the right word? We need to have, or to put that effort, see ourselves organized. I think that's the problem we have. We're everywhere.
And nowhere.
And nowhere at the same time. When Faizo suggests that, hey guys, I have given you a week, come to the island, let's brainstorm about how we can make these things work. One is going to go like, I don't know if Faizo. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, our idea is
then he goes on whatever. You see it. So we've got all these kind of hurdles. And I think why the corporates are probably not even coming in to give a hand is because they don't even know where to start from. They don't know where to start.
Welcome back from that break. We are talking about creative industry and creative spaces in Uganda. You have heard from that small break when Musta was talking about, you know, corporate companies learning from the creative minds themselves while we set up these creative spaces. And you've heard from Faizo talking about they need to join in now. So as a corporate company, you don't want to come much later when we have moved many steps forward. Faizo said you will find no space in our creative spaces to create your work. So Stella, Faizo, and Noah, welcome back to the program. I want to just go straight Musta, from where we started. A lot of comments came in for you from last week. What did you learn from the discussion last week?
One, I learned that partnerships are very, very important because we all contribute in different levels and things like that. So partnership is key to enable us reach our goals. Yeah, it was good. You heard from Stanbic. That was an amazing response. So we look forward to having more of them come on board. And like I said last week, at this stage where we are is critical, and it's one of those stages where things need to be aligned. Aligned better for a much better future and better results. Yeah. So if they come on board, we know that where we find or where we have hurdles, we have different teams of people, not just we, the creatives that thought of the plan. Because you see what happens is this: all these things that most of us as creatives do have come up as a hobby. Yeah. And we hobby people are very hard to govern, if I may say. Yes. Creatives are not the type of people you will say, come, let's sit here, and they all come. Everyone has an independent mind. We all think differently. So maybe the corporate companies or agencies or organizations like Stanbic could come and teach us or show us a way of doing this or thinking in a business manner. It's very, very important. There's nothing as odd as you having very good works out there, but you're so negatives financially. Yeah. These things kind of like have to balance. It's very, very important. I'm telling you. Yeah, like your name is all over the place, but unfortunately you don't probably look the part or anything. So it's very important that when they come on board now, they also teach us, like I was talking about this how we guys went there, and we've learned quite a lot from there. Yeah. So this is us now trying to balance the hobbies that we have and trying to see that
the bank balances.
We monetize or get the skill of looking at it as a business. Yeah. So I learned that a lot. Okay. And we're still in that learning process, because this is the gap for that. This is the space for that. Wow. So anything beyond this, then it will be hard for them to come. Then that means we have to go back and realign a couple of things. Yes. Which then becomes a problem.
Okay. Yes. And when you came on the show last time, you were still in prison. You are now free from prison. Yes. Ugandans are free from prison. Yes. And Stella, welcome to the program. We just want to have a small, part from you. You watched the show last week. If we are not running, we're talking about creative spaces. What do you think about creative spaces in Uganda, Stella? The new idea that there is a place I can go to as a creative mind and sit and create, or go to, for example, you as Stella, you find a place with a table already put there for you. You have a paintbrush already, everything is set there. You're just going to enter. You don't have to think about, I need to get 5K to buy this thing, or 10K or 20K. The masters of this place, of the creative spaces, as inventors, have already put these things in place. All you're going to do is sit, paint your thing, try your ideas there before you can go out and actually make it bigger. What do you think about the idea?
I think I like the idea, and the fact that before we had the National Theatre, but then the National Theatre, it was just a plain place given to us behind. There was nothing actually like maybe materials for different creatives. It was just an empty space. But then if we come up with the spaces, like he said, he's created one. Yeah. I think that's a very good way of helping out the creatives. And if it is already installed with everything, all the equipment that is needed, I think it's going to attract and it's going to motivate a lot of creatives to think even more, think out of the box. Personally, I hate working from home, much as I have my studio at home. But if I'm not on the machine, if I'm just doing my other work, like sketching, I really want to be outside my house, because I need that thinking outside my house. It gives you like a lot of creativity when you're in this space that is, you see a lot of things around you, and your mind definitely changes. There's more of thinking, okay, I wanted to do this, but with all this around me, it gives me more opportunity. And the people you find there, you share like knowledge.
Yes.
You help each other, and that helps us like to grow and perfect and become more creative, because we have like assistance of other mindsets behind us.
Wow. I wanted to go to France, to my little sister from France, Noah. You are a creative mind straight out of France.
Yeah.
Are there creative spaces in France?
Yeah, sure.
How do they look like?
I mean, there is like different creative space. I think there are like the technical creative space where like it's kind of like workshops where, for example, if you're a photographer, you can go develop your films, or if like you build chairs or furniture, you can go and people help you to cut your materials or blah blah blah. And there is the other place that is more co-working spaces with artists, like artist workshop, where like some artists rent a big space and they all have their little studio and they work to their own stuff and they communicate a lot between them.
Wow.
So yeah, I will say like there is the technical part
of it, yeah.
and the more like
A
creative
space,
thinking,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. And so, how long have you guys had this thing? We're talking about the creative spaces in Uganda and all across the world. We're going to share ideas on this show, learning from you coming from France into Uganda and learning from Musta. Stella, you already told Stella. Stella now lives in France, so
She can add to my story.
yes, we can't pull her back now, but we want to hear from you. So, how long have you guys had this kind of spaces that creatives go to?
I mean, I just realized that those spaces exist when I started to be a student. So it's been like 5 years ago. I realized there is those space that exist, but I think like. Co-working, for example, like where like it's actually industry that decide to buy a space and make like offices for people to come work, like open offices. I think it's something that is kind of new. Like I would say 4 years ago, because it's like going into a little bit the American way of like open space, people like sharing ideas and stuff. There is this big how to say like project that is like called the Fab Lab. So it's fabrication laboratory, like that's the contraction. And this is spaces like that looks like association where people come and there's like all the machine they want for working. Like for example a 3D printer or like I don't know how to say in English, but like you have like wood board and you want to like
wood carving.
Oh, wood carving.
Yes. So all those machines, and there is like 1 or 2 people that know how to use those machines, and you come with a project like, okay, I'm Noah, I want to make like a chair, and you're like, okay, that's the way, and they just help you to.
So it's your idea, they just help you to use the machine and cut and make the chair that you've designed and come with? Wow, Musta.
There's actually something like that, I think, here. There's one of these spaces as well. Is it Design Hub?
Design Hub.
Design Hub.
Yeah,
yes.
Design Hub I think has something. Something similar to that as well, where different, where other creatives say woodworks and stuff like that. Recently, I also saw a video. I think Swans teamed up with them, and they opened up. I think a recording. Is it something to do with recording studio or something like that? Something to do with audio. So there's these kind of partnerships, and that kind of format is here. Design Hub is doing something like that already. I guess Uganda is literally almost there.
Yes,
we're not being left behind quite a lot.
The last time we had what's the name? The lady from the French embassy. She said Lucille. The last time we had Lucille here on the show, Lucille said that they've actually realized that some of the things that we have in Uganda here, they don't have in France. And he said it looks like you guys are actually way ahead of us in some of these things. The creative industry and the cultural industry seems to be way ahead of us in certain areas. But maybe we're just not being exposed to go through it. But I want to go back to Noah briefly, because we want to learn from you. We're talking about creative spaces in Uganda and across the world. And particularly, Noah, if I am a young person like you, and they say young people are usually very crazy, they have too many ideas. Musta said that you just see us with our backpack moving around, you don't understand us, we enter the restaurant, you think we are mad, but in that mad mind of mine, I'm trying to think about something. I want to create something and I don't have the money for the space, but I have these things in my head. Is there that space in France that I can just walk to and sit, which is not called working space, but a place that I go, they have everything, I just sit and then think for like 2 hours or 3 hours without me thinking of rent or something? Does it exist?
Like, you mean if you're like a student?
A space for me as a creative, just allow me to think within my own space without me looking over my shoulder and somebody says, excuse me, please move, or something like that.
I think like when you're a student and you're in a school, there is like places that are like created for you. But if you're not in school and you just like want to create and just like think, like not being in practical like creation, like not like like
because you're gonna have to think about it before you go to the machine.
But also to add on that, like in the middle of Paris, the mayor of Paris has a lot of spaces, free space for everyone who wants to come and do the creativity. There is room for everyone. You just come, sit, do your thing. There is internet. There is all the things you need.
And there is also this big library. We call it a library. That is like the library of the Centre Pompidou. That is the museum of like contemporary art, and they have like this big library where there is like a lot of books and a lot of like people
so I can
come
go
to
there
work.
And research, do my research on projects and stuff like that.
There is computers with internet access, books from like, I don't know, like there is so many books.
So Musta here can, say, I want to go and do read about the, film and do this film and how people here do their stuff and their books are there.
There is like on biology, on cinema, on every topic you want. Like that's crazy. And sometimes I go to do some research and you can see it. Spend like all your day here. It closes at 10 or 11 p.m. so you can stay like long time.
Wow.
So and even in the museums, artists are allowed to go and you can go with your paints. You sit in the museum and then you do your painting.
Wow.
You are allowed to do that.
I'm not sure if you can try that in a museum in Uganda. Let me ask Musta, do we have such spaces in Uganda where?
I don't think
before you get bundled up by a security
I don't think we're at that level yet. I don't think we're at that level yet, but I think that sounds really interesting. That actually has caught my eye when she mentioned about books and stuff like that. Those are literally very good things to have for research purposes for the people that work in. And like I said, most of the people that are coming into, I'm really thinking a lot about the people that are coming into the industry. The young guys that are new, like I said before, their creativity, their art is literally in a different, quite different from, the way we do things, or the way we think about things. Yes, so ideally, I love that part, and maybe because of partnerships, all that will be possible. If we can have like the French embassy coming on board, for example,
Alliance Française,
Alliance Française, and have things like that, that's why I say partnerships will literally get us there. You can imagine when you come to do your thing, there's books. So as you sit with your partners or people that are in the same that have the same mindset that you have, you've got something to run back to and say, hey, if you read book ABC, you've got a reference there and things like that. That's really amazing. I love the part of the books. That's something that I think
and you can create connection
with
people there, like because they're on the same, like reading the same kind of books as you. You talk to them
and you discuss things,
and you make connection too for like working.
And with our books, actually, we have the mini libraries in the parks. So every park there's a library. You go pick a book, you read.
The parks here is a different thing, but
we have like buses.
Please tell us more about the parks here.
They are moving libraries. They are
moving libraries.
The bus.
That's like some designer that create like kind of boxes where you put the books you don't want anymore, and you as like a walker, you can choose a new book to get.
You just set pick on the book that
so you don't throw. So you don't throw the book.
So I'm done with this book and
throwing it away. You can just come
get it there.
Somebody else will be interested. I think I would like to pick up on that. Just like you have just seen people who literally say they post. We've got this orphanage. If you've got clothes you're not using anymore, shoes or what. I think this would be one of those things that we could probably try out for. Try out for.
Like I have some books I've read that would want to pass it on to others and just drop it there and then get books from others.
I think just like we talked about the basket
Yes.
from the corporates. I think we should do that as well.
Okay.
And
Especially in our
then
creative
yes.
space.
also there is every like municipal, the mayor organizes for like a bus, a reading bus. So you basically go to the library, pick a book, and then there is a bus. You move around the city reading, and then after when you finish, it's like a 1 hour touring and while reading. So that could be
Makes you
like
sick a
for
little
even
bit on the
photographers.
Yeah, photographers,
Go
so
around,
you
take
taking pictures and
pictures.
stuff like that. Yes, talking about pictures, you know, recently,
Yeah.
you know, a company.
But before you go there on the pictures, I mean, I just want to pick from you. Do you think this idea is good for us that here the guy might take off with the whole book in the bus and don't come back?
No, it's a bus organized by, it could be by the standard bus
yeah.
tour.
Yeah, it
And
Yeah,
that's going back to what you're talking about
Yes.
to, Tony or Toy. But I mean, I think the corporates are really learning something from us.
Yeah.
They even should be paying us for this show.
Yeah.
Because they're giving good ideas. Yeah.
Having an MTN bus tour, reading
Yes,
bus.
yes. Things like that usually help. And like she said,
Yeah.
she works home, but she thinks better when she's not in that
Yes.
zone.
So Musta, why don't you, come up with an idea with, like, say, you who have just come out from the business Stanbic Incubator Limited, to come up to state a bus, and let's do a bus test up here in Kampala, and learning from these guys,
That would be awesome, actually.
facilitated by
that would be
by the
really
space.
awesome.
Yeah.
And these are the kind of talks we're having,
Yeah.
or that we're set to have.
Yeah.
We've got actually quite a lot of ideas that. But I love now that is uniting two things, or putting two things. You're touring at the same time,
Yeah.
and then at the same time you also have the partnership with the corporates, and then you're also doing it differently.
Yes.
Three things already. So those are some of the things we need to discuss
Okay.
with the corporates, and then have things like this come on board.
All right.
It would really be awesome. I remember some time back.
Yeah.
I love doing phone photography.
Yes, you can get into the photo part. Yes.
Yeah, phone photography.
Yeah.
I move around. People that usually go to my Facebook page will see, Prince of Wakanda. They'll see I'm shooting. I've got a shoot in Bor in Southern Sudan. I've got a shoot in Juba. I've got a shoot in SA. I've got in Uganda, different places, and all these places I visit. I tend to want to take pictures. So recently, after a very long time, I was taking a walk with my wife.
Yeah.
It had been ages since I last went to like Chikuwo downtown, the taxi park.
This is in a 42 lockdown.
No. This is like 2 years ago before this whole mess came around.
Okay.
And then as I was busy taking pictures, everything was just wowing me. Oh, this is good. A couple of years, this was, a couple of years back, this wasn't there. So I'm busy taking pictures as usual.
Yeah.
And then my wife taps me, someone wants to talk to you. I'm like, who is this? So I turn back, and there's this police officer, in
uniform.
No, not in uniform. And
Civilian?
Yes, civilian. And then I'm like, okay, yes, sorry, what's up? And then she tells me, sorry, who are you? What are you doing here? Allowed to take pictures? I'm like, what do you mean I'm not allowed to take pictures? I do photography everywhere I go. I pull out my phone and take pictures.
It's called experience
Yeah, so
photography.
what do you mean I'm not supposed to take pictures?
Yeah.
No, but we don't know who you are. But I'm like, everyone in this town has a phone.
Yeah.
Are you going to
Mobile
go
phone.
around literally arresting people taking pictures about? And besides, I'm doing it for a good purpose.
Yes.
It's not like I'm taking a picture then I'm going to go and diss.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing it because I love it. I just love showing people our city, and whatever is happening. I love Uganda the raw way it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, long story short.
Did they smash your phone?
No. I was taken to the police post.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and the OC asked me to go in. Unfortunately, I can't even fit in that kiosk.
Yes.
And show the pictures.
Yes.
You locked up inside?
No, to go and talk to the OC.
Okay.
And I just asked him politely to come out because I can't literally fit in.
You can imagine a situation where
so of course at first he thought I was being rude and all that, but when he came out he realized
Yeah.
that I actually can't.
you're a giant, you can't enter.
Yes, so I told him, I even had to open my Facebook page, show him, places he's been to and taken pictures,
Yes.
and showcase them. I told him, Chief, if I came here to take a picture professionally, I would pack a whole truck of
Yes.
equipment just to take a shot.
Yes.
So this is me just loving back my country. So let's let people enjoy, and
Yes.
just like you can go to all these tourist sites
Yes.
and take pictures. I think it's one of the ways we can literally tell the world about positively about Uganda.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, guys, I want you to hold it right there. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we want to look at some of the pictures we have taken from the last show here when we talk about creative spaces and the future of creative spaces in Uganda. We have some of the pictures coming from the U Ebony place, the hub in industrial area right here in Kampala. You'll be able to see it all across the world. And of course, we want to check out the Lumkulu. Faizo Chiwewa is teaching today. He's not going to be with us, but we have Noah here from France, Flor from France here. She's going to do some photography. She's also going to tell us some more about how the spaces in France is actually turning out for the young people. If you're 25, 20, below, something like that, and here they don't give you space, please, you might want to listen to Stella Tal and Noah and Musta in this, show. Otherwise, we'll be right back after this break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. People at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
Okay.
Yes.
I want us to talk about the corporate entities, the corporate society. I mean, the money comes from there to the creative art. For a long time, while the creative people are thinking the spaces to create this stuff, most ad agencies are run by creative minds.
As well.
And these creative minds handles big projects coming from big corporations like MTN of this world, the Airtel of this world, and of course there are many others, and NGOs. But quite often they don't quite appreciate the process of creativity. And if the creativity is not paid, is not rewarded by being paid, it becomes difficult for a creative person to even meet the bills of the process of creating or thinking creative, for whatever they are trying to do. How can we, with this new invention of the creative spaces now for creative minds, for people who think, for people who write, for people who are thinking, for people who are... Welcome back to the program. This is the Creative Industry Talk, and today we are discussing the spaces in Uganda, creative spaces in Uganda and across the world. And on the program is Musta, the judge of camera work in Uganda.
That's a very interesting title.
Yes. And of course, Stella Tal, we are about to now call her the grandmother of fashion in Uganda, because she has come with, you know, Noah here, who is a young person. Yes, the child. Well, but guys, welcome back to the program. We want to go back to that situation of photography. How is it in France? You said you love photography,
yeah,
and you are into photography. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hold your phone and you go around shooting the city like this and then not be arrested?
Yeah, I mean, like the only time I had problem with like photo and being arrested was in the countryside, when I was taking photo of like a private property, and just the guy like get out like, hey, don't take a photo of my home, basically. And that's the only problem I had, because in Paris, for example, everybody is on their phone taking photo all the time. Like there's just too many stuff happening for people to be like, hey, stop. And I think also that we're allowed to take whatever we want. Yeah,
Wow.
I feel like.
So how is the situation like with the space and the creative space in France between the young and the old? Here we don't see in the same direction. We kind of like have a parallel line.
Okay.
The young people see it from here, and then the older people see it from here, and sometimes the young people trying to express themselves as the creative is taken as being disrespectful to the old.
Okay.
Yes. Is it the same thing in France?
I think that in France, for example, like for the education of like art and creative things in thinking in general, like there is like teachers that learn, and that there is like this kind of like position of being like taught like how to think, how to be creative. So there is a good like relationship after young people.
How to think? You are taught how to think and to be creative?
Yeah, kind of like they, I mean, you have your own like expression as well, but like they help you to refine like your ideas and like your process.
Wow.
Yeah, because they have experience on how to do that.
Mentorship management.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so cool, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, but there is still the young people being a bit rebellious.
No,
That's their
natural.
nature.
There's that age where you are and you feel like this
even here, there's some young guy who will be very rebellious with
we meet them every day and they tell you, no, I am not going to set the camera that way. I'm going to, so it's and it's good that actually that's happening in France, because then most of us talk these things out of experience. You know, so at times when I say something, it's not that I don't like what you're doing, but I'm probably just aligning you to do things right at an earlier stage.
So that you don't fall in the pit where he fell.
Exactly. So that's really amazing.
Okay.
And I feel like the creative space is enriched. It's more rich when there is like different ages, so like everybody can share also their like on a wild. I think.
Wow. Stella Tal, you are now a teacher in France, and the last time you were on the show, you told us you feel like you have now forgotten about your brand. Yes. Have you created this creative space in your sitting room with your children for other people to come in? You know, what are you doing?
Actually, my home is always open to everyone. Those want to learn how to sew, those want to do like fashion business, it's open to the communities. Most of the people in the communities who want to learn how to sew but they don't have access, it's open to them. And then I'm working with the mayors mainly, because all the mayors they want to create something for the community. They want to create spaces for the community. And they are like competing to see which municipal is better than the other. So usually they create these spaces for like artists. There is a place where I was for like 3 months.
Mister, can you please text our Lord Mayor? Because this man, what's that you say we need this?
There is this place where I was, and the mayor basically took the main street from the from the municipal to maybe like 1 kilometer, and all the tenants were evicted, all of them. and said this is a place for the creatives.
Wow.
The photographers, fashion designers, painters, what.
Wow.
And if you're a photographer, he installed a studio for you. Those who are doing ceramics, there was a place for them to
Section
do,
for them as
yeah,
well.
with the machines to do that
Wow.
glazing and so on.
Wow.
Fashion designers, everything is there with that. Sewing machines, painters, everything is there.
Yeah.
So like, we owned like all the apartments on the street. And then there was a main one, which was like a meeting place.
Yeah.
And that meeting place, it had an internet cafe.
Yeah.
He bought like coffee machines for the for the creatives.
Yes.
Yes.
But then it was upon us to make sure that on Monday, people would come in, the public,
Yeah.
to buy the pieces.
Yeah.
It was more of a showroom.
Yeah.
But then you serve them coffee. They buy coffee. That
Wow.
would help also.
You maintain the place
Yeah,
and all that.
Wow.
So you say, okay, Monday morning, it's me and you, we're going to serve coffee. Tomorrow, it's you and you.
So you learn how to be a barista and to do the
Exactly,
service.
yes.
Wow.
People would come in and like, oh.
Even management, you
Yes.
know how to attend to people. It's
Yes.
very
People were
important.
like, oh, can you come and work for us? I'm like, no, I'm not about.
You just bought my
Yes, exactly. This is a space for creatives.
Yes,
So
yes,
we actually
yes.
we're not working for anyone.
Oh, nice. That's quite superb.
So that's what we're talking about here. Creative space is what we're talking about here. If you're a creative, are you getting some ideas from what Stella is talking about here, from what Noah is talking about here, from what Musa is talking about here? And we want to hear from you. Do you have something that you want to say to these people? Do you have a question just before we share with you? I want the guys to put up the topic of the discussion of the day up there as we, go back to that moment. We're talking about creative spaces in Uganda and across the world. And so what Stella just talked about makes a lot more sense. But, Musta,
Yes.
we have had a run of, grazing everything down and grading everything down and running everything down in Kampala. But I'm hearing from Stella that in France, mayor took off 100 meters, evicted everyone. If you try that in Kampala, I think you'll be dead before you try it.
Even dreaming about it.
Yes. But what lesson do we pick from there? What lesson are you picking from there, you as an investor in the creative space in Uganda at the moment, as a pioneer? Yeah.
One, go back to the same thing. Partnerships. Those that are into these kind of institutions, places, positions, even from the government line, let them come. Because at the end of the day, this is us. You get it? Last time we talked, when we were here with Pfizer, we talked about them trying to implement these things, yet they don't have the expertise or experience to do them. So they come up with them, and then 2-3 months down the road, it has drowned or has sunk, simply because they're not the ones supposed to do these kind of things. So if we are investing in them right now, the best thing they can do is to come and partner with us and see how we can make these things happen. And it should happen at this stage. I'm going to insist on that, at this stage. Because then they will have, they'll take back reports and say, hey guys, next year's budget, we should put A, B, C, D into consideration. Because there is an industry that is really, really growing. It is growing fast. Uganda is Uganda the country that has the biggest number of youths?
Yes,
in
yes.
the world?
We have the biggest number of the youngest population in the world.
See, so I mean, 5 years down the road, what's going to be happening? So, come in now, come on board now. Let's brainstorm about all these things now at this stage. From every level, the government institutions, the embassies that support arts, any other person out there that feels like this concerns us, the corporates, let's come now. Let them come and give support to we who have literally sacrificed the little we have to see that an industry grows. It's tough, but guess what? It has to be done. And if we have decided to start doing it at this point, despite what we're going through, I can imagine what would happen if they came on board.
Wow.
We would have that kind of setting, for example, where people just walk in and you look left, right, and center. There's just creatives all over the place, and they're there because they're not worried about where we're going to get this rent from this month, where we're going to, things like that. Like I was talking to Stella a few minutes back, and she was talking about people coming in and doing, what did you call it? like from the universities.
Internship, yes.
We would have. I would love to do internships for the guys that are coming in from the universities or film school. But guess what? You know, they come in and then you can't sustain the place.
Yeah.
You know, so if we have these partnerships, then I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to make sure that we have as many creative elements or juices coming out of us to make sure that we spread them all over these young guys, and we have an elegant, beautiful industry 5 years down the road.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for me, I think the best way to do this, it's going to start with the mayors. Make sure that in all your places, they have this creative space for their community.
Yeah,
it's going to be very, it's going to be very easy for you, for me, to go and work with a space that is being given by the mayor or the municipal, wherever MPs, and it's going to be very easy for all these companies, Stanbic, MTN, to come and work with a space that is already there, being given for free, because they have access to free places. If MTN or Stanbic, they want to open up a space, they have to pay rent. But why can't we work with the government, have these spaces provided free, and then from there, we're going to have all these people, even like the embassies. They can help, but they can't start from scratch.
No, they
have something in
place.
place.
They have to find these places in, around already, so as to not the seriousness.
Okay. I just wanted to take one more break, and when we come back, we want to discuss, something very interesting, but also taking comments and questions from you guys. We want to look at the creative spaces in Uganda. We have some pictures to show you, and we want to show you how the U Ebony place look like, and U Heights, sorry, Ebony Heights actually. I keep changing the. It's like these guys of City Garden and Garden City. yes. So, but yeah, we have the Ebony U place or Ebony Heights place to show you, as well as the one of Lunkulu. And of course, we will want to ask Stella Tal and Noah here to talk about their experiences in France and what we can learn from there. And then we will close the show with partnership opportunities. We'll ask Noah here, now that she's in Uganda with Stella, can she come back, to the creative space in Uganda? She's a textile engineer, which means that some of us who are very interested in textile business can actually be part of this. Stay right there, we'll be right back after the break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. People at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
Okay.
Yes.
I want us to talk about the corporate entities, the corporate society. I mean, the money comes from there to the creative art. For a long time, while the creative people are thinking the spaces to create this stuff, you know, most ad agencies are run by creative minds
as well.
And these creative minds handles big projects coming from big corporations like MTN of this world, the Airtel of this world, and of course there are many others, you know, and NGOs. But quite often they don't quite appreciate the process of creativity. And if the creativity is not paid, is not rewarded by being paid, it becomes difficult for a creative person to even meet the bills of the process of creating or thinking creative, you know, for whatever they are trying to do. How can we, with this new invention of the creative spaces now for creative minds, for people who think, for people who write, for people who are thinking, for people who are, you know, inventors, to now be appreciated by creative people, I mean by corporate people, by people who consume our product? How can we motivate them to say, look, you now need to pay this thing. I'm no longer, you know, staying in my bedroom to create these things. I'm now sitting in this place where it's called an office, where I have a space. The rent
Bills to
in
pay,
there, bill to pay is this, and I need to pay this. How do we motivate these people, given this new, you know, space that we now have, which is an investment in itself in the creative industry?
I don't know. I think what we have to understand that the corporate world has not done justice to creativity.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
And yet they're the biggest beneficiaries.
Yes, they are the biggest beneficiaries. And for me, my observation over these past 15 years I've worked in the arts, I've not had a very successful engagement with any corporate company. Why? Because first of all, they follow populism. Like Chameleon has numbers, I'll support it. Balaam has numbers, I'll support that. And then it doesn't really do justice to the conceptual creative art that you need to present.
Yeah.
There are so many great artists here that could be supported by all these companies that are here, but they don't find value in it because they're always looking at the numbers. And of course, you know, they kick back. But the other thing is that when we look at the creative people in the advertising agencies, where they are creative, but they are not the final decision makers.
Yeah.
So their creativity ends where the agent wants it to end.
Yeah.
And they are managed by businessmen. So if it doesn't work for the guy at Coca-Cola or whatever, they're not going to do what? They're not going to accept it, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. And then the third thing I find it sad about the creative corporate world that they have failed is to invest in the future of creativity, of where they are benefiting. I don't think there has been any company here in Uganda that had said, let us invest in Monster to train young filmmakers, because they need these filmmakers to make them promotions, right?
Yes.
They run adverts every day. But have they ever caught mind to say, let's invest in Monster, who is one of the greatest filmmakers here, or the guy on the camera, to train other young people so that they can learn, so that we don't get this money that they pick every day, take to South Africa, take to Kenya, to make these adverts.
Yeah.
It's very simple. I don't think anyone had thought about that. But they need to consume, and if they find that the quality is not of what they expect, they shift it. They ship it to South Africa.
Yeah.
They go to Kenya. So I think they have not done anything, and they shouldn't lie you when they said, when we've supported Arakeli to come. Who benefits from Arakeli's arrival? You know, we've supported Chugunda. Who benefits from that?
Yeah.
I think we need to think. They need to think about the future, and the future is not only just giving money to an agency to make adverts. It's also investing in institutions, in training spaces, in capacities, in venues and areas where people can have room and space to learn and be able to add on to what is there.
Wow.
None of them is doing that.
Wow. Monster, your take on that one. I mean, Faisal raises very valid points.
Those are very valid points, actually, Faisal. Thank you. But when it comes to my angle, I have a 50-50 on what Faisal has said.
Yes.
There's a lot of information out there, as you know, for we creatives to consume, or to any other Ugandan, by the way, to consume.
Yeah.
I can give you an example of the Stanbic incubator.
Yes.
Yeah. That's something that we registered for this year as Ebony Heights, and we are attending. you know, the course, and it's amazing. It has opened our eyes to so many things that we did not even think about. Yeah. Even us, when we're responding or talking to them, we tell them things and they're like, oh, wait a minute, because I think we're the only filmmakers there. I don't know if there's any other that has been there before, but at least for this year, we're the ones there, and we're asking them or telling them things that they had not put into consideration, especially when it comes to our sort of business. Yes. You know, so it's amazing. All the creatives should actually think of such courses.
Welcome back from that break, and I hope you're enjoying the show. I hope you're enjoying the process of thinking and sharing ideas. We're talking about creative spaces in Uganda and, of course, across the world. Do we have some of those places in Uganda? Yes. Are they working? Yes. And can we pick a lesson from some of our friends and our colleagues from all across the world? Yes. And of course, on the program is Musta, the Jaja himself. If you don't know Musta, then you have not done any commercial or film in Uganda. And if you don't know Stella Tal, then there's a problem with you. You have not been able to look very well. And Noah here represents the younger generation of creative minds who is here in Uganda, first of all, to document a project. And I think they are working on the international music day, not so?
No, it's not a music day. It's Season Africa.
Season Africa.
Where we are presenting our culture on the French platform.
Wow. So you can imagine what, you know, she's already doing at her age, and you're wondering, you're already 42, you have not ever presented yourself to the world stage because you're not thinking. So also knowing who to be around with is very important. The young people in Uganda and all across in Africa needs to know that mentorship management, most has talked about, is very important. Stella Tara has talked about is very important. Now, for this part of the show, we want to take you straight to Lunkulu, one of the creative spaces built by Faizo Chiwewa and the Bahimba team. Guys, we're going to look at these pictures and you'll be amazed. I don't know whether you've been to Lunkulu. Lunkulu is a couple of kilometers away from here in Mkono. And when you branch off from Katosi, you move. So that right there is in the middle of, that's an island, by the way, in the middle of Lake Victoria. It's the only island there, 100 acres, 100 square meter, 100 acres of an island alone by itself. So that's the plan that Faizo has. Faizo talked about this plan. Faizo Chiwewa and the Bahimba team talked about how they're going to develop that place as a creative hub for the creative people and have creative spaces. And when you look at that, that would be the entrance in between the place. You can see the, you know, I think that's the, you know, accommodation. And you can see there's a small hanging out place where you can also be thinking, doing your creative thinking from there while you sit and enjoy the place. And if you go to the next picture, you'll be able to see, you know, artistic impression of people enjoying. You know, you could see Musta and Alice right there enjoying the walk in the park. And you see down here is Noah and her colleague sitting in the compound. Then Stella Tal right there with her daughter moving. So that's the space that we're talking about. That's the creative space. There's a Ugandan thinking like that. That's Faizo Chiwewa. Right there. What do you guys think about, you know, Noah? I mean, this is not Noah's children. Noah hasn't yet. But this is Musta's daughters walking there. And my son who is going to come, you know, Stella Tal's children. There's a play area for them. So it's a whole park for everyone. That's a creative space for everyone. If you go to the next picture, you'll be able to see, that's right there, Noah is seated trying to take the pictures. So Faizo's done a place for people to order food and stuff. So he's thinking, you get it?
That's nice.
He's thinking, and you can see the space. If you flip to a next picture, you'll be able to see the whole, you know, highland. So that's Lunkulu right there. That's the plan. As to whether he's going to achieve it today or tomorrow, we don't know. But you see, he's thinking. The first thing is that there's a space for people to go. Musta, as a film creator, can go, a film developer can go to Lunkulu and sit and actually develop a film from there. I think there have been so many people who have gone there to shoot their film. I saw some guys came from Europe, and they've done a skit of a film already there. They've done some scenes, shots of the scenes from there. I've been there to document some of Doa Doa with Faisal in that place. An amazing place. You go catch fish from the Lake Victoria. You do whatever you want to do with that fish. They grow their cassava from there. Everything is within that island.
Organic stuff.
Yes. So organic stuff. So that's Lunkulu right there. That's a creative space in Uganda coming up for you who is a creative mind who is thinking. What do you guys think? Let's talk about this. Musta.
It's epic.
It's amazing.
Amazing thought. And we pray that all this comes to life.
Well, yes. What does that make you feel like?
That makes me feel that it's really, really interesting and going forwards, because like I think that if those places exist, like it makes like it's so attractive for people to come, and the place look also like good to be in, and I think that it can like create also like for example having like Ugandans, but having 1 or 2 spots for like international students, then it makes it really attractive, and people want to go there, and so it's just like put the sponsor like also on it, and like it can just go on like a good circle of like grown. Yes.
Yes.
So it's
growing to be something better. Yeah,
because I think that once you have that, the sponsor wants to be there, and once you have the sponsor, you have more money, and it's just like to me, it sounds really nice. Like.
Wow. Stella, Tal, what do you think of Lunkulu? Have you been to Lunkulu? Perhaps you may need to take a ride to Lunkulu if you can reach out to Faisal and just eat fish and cassava from there. Yes.
For me, it looks like home away from home, and full of creativity, and the fact that he has space for all people, the children, the big people. So it doesn't limit you when you go with your family. It doesn't limit your creativity. You have
a place where the children will be.
And then they leave you to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's planning on these international collaborations, it's really a good space, like to have collaborations with international people, share ideas, have workshops. Like she said, we could come, like as school, we just come and then
come here.
And they share their knowledge, like each, you know.
Wow.
That is really amazing.
Wow.
Having everything in one
special.
place.
Like I've never really saw something, like I heard stuff about that, but like you have the space and also the nature around is just so attractive for like creative to come.
Yes.
So
I can tell you when you go to Lunkulu, you will hear some very weird animal. We were told it's an animal. The thing shouts the whole night.
Yeah.
Yes, some very interesting sound. So we wanted to go back. She might freak out.
She's interested in birds as well.
Yes. And then there are so many species of birds, so people go there, bird watching.
And I think that's really attractive for people.
So it's a good place for you to start with, and for people to come and enjoy. And guys, I want to take you. That's away from Kampala. So those are the only 2 spaces we have.
Okay.
But there is a space in Kampala, and right in the studio, Jaja is here. Jaja.
The star.
Yes. Musta is here. We want to check out the Creative Hub. The Ebony Heights space, which has just been created. Coronavirus came and found them in the process of trying to make this place look good for all the creatives all across. I'm yet to go there, but yesterday we rolled out a camera to check it out, and we want to just ask Musta about it. If you just put that up, and I want to just start with you, Musta. What was going in your mind? Just take us through this entire place.
Okay. That where you saw me coming out from is literally the admin block.
Yeah.
Is the office itself. Yeah, where we do editing. That's the video section. Yeah. And then, as you can see, the camera guy is literally on my case. Yeah. And that's the exterior. It's not yet done. We've not yet touched the exterior. We're supposed to have a roof over that as well, like a shade. So we can make sure that people are also sitting outside. We've got a totally different concept for the exterior. We want it all green. Yeah, people
And we
feel
can
like
see
they're
it.
literally
Wow.
That's
really
nice.
outside.
And this is right here in Kampala.
Yes, so it's so we also have our small cafeteria will also be outside there as well.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's the beginning. That's the beginning. It's not yet done at all. That's literally like at 5% of what it's supposed to be like, the exterior.
Okay.
The interior, that's where we are. Those small cubicles you see there are the different spaces we're looking at for different people to
So
sit.
if I come, I can just come and
with
put
your
my laptop
yeah,
there
exactly.
and just say...
Either laptop or even your desktop, you
Yes.
can come and just place it there. Those that want to book for a whole month, those that want to have a week.
And
those
that's
that
my
want
creative
daily,
space.
That's your space right there. Yeah, so you
Wow.
can see we have a chair there.
Yes.
That one chair there is a sample
Okay.
of what we are making,
Okay.
because the level at which they are
Yeah.
is not the usual kind of level. So you can actually either stand
Yes.
or sit.
Yes.
So we had to come up with that kind of level, that kind of height.
Yeah, which is
Because-
very good for,
yeah, for even your body,
for,
you know.
for health and
Yeah,
fitness.
exactly.
looking at the
Yeah.
I like the lighting.
Yeah,
Yes,
so then ideally the design or the decor of this place is multi-purpose.
Yeah.
We also use it as a set. People that want to come and shoot or film
Yeah.
interviews or whatever, this is also, we thought through that process.
Okay.
We don't want to, we don't want it to be only a space where you come and sit and go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're also doing interviews in there. So the lighting condition is different depending on what you want to do there.
So Stella Tal, for example, if she wants to do a photo shoot with Noah here,
Yeah,
Noah
this-
Robin,
the
they just
space
go
is
in
there.
there,
The
they have a
space is
place
there.
for it, yes.
The space
I
is
like the
there for that.
taxi space, and I like
Yeah.
the Kampala road.
Yes,
stuff.
yeah, that's very
Wow.
important to
Yes,
bring
yes,
it back
yes.
home.
Yeah, yeah.
Being proud of where you are and stuff like that.
Yes.
So that's,
And I like
that's
the
PG.
print on the
Yes, the roof, the
roof.
ceiling. We've got fabric print on it.
Yes.
That's just to make sure that everything you look at
Yes.
literally keeps you in the zone of being artistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's where now this is the big one.
Yes.
This is the one that seats about 25 people.
Okay.
It
Is
has-
that where the American embassy is?
Yes, that's where the workshop was for the young writers.
Okay.
From Film 256.
Okay.
That's where so there's internet there. The cafeteria was meant to be done, but yes, you know where we were. So the idea comes from this particular one. This is the old side
Ebony
of it.
Hill, yes.
Yes. So this is where the idea of the big one came from.
Okay.
Initially, this
Whoa.
this is
Whoa,
our creative.
whoa,
This is
whoa.
where we think.
Nice.
So this is like a creative suit?
Yes.
A private creative suit?
Yeah, this is the private one. Now, this idea of the big one comes from this small one. Because the idea, this is where we sit as Ebony Hugh, as the film guys.
Yes.
This is where we sit and brainstorm, clients,
Ideas.
concepts, a film, whatever we're going to be doing ideally. So we realized that people want to come and sit there and enjoy when they're there. So we said, okay, so this is where the big one is born.
Wow.
The big hub is born from that small one. So
Wow.
the idea
That's
came
nice.
from that small one. We said, let's take the big one as well.
Wow.
So that literally means that if we have more space,
Yeah.
we are really, really willing to knock ourselves out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And talking of that, Musta, there are so many buildings that have come in Kampala now, and they don't seem to be futuristic in thinking, like you're trying to do here. There would be need for many of these spaces to come up in Kampala because Musta will not satisfy the whole need.
Yes.
But there has to be something somebody is showing to doing. What does that say about our, property development in Uganda? Are they creating with these properties are developed with creative minds? The architects are creative minds. The engineers are creative minds. The interior designers are creative minds. The textile designers are creative minds. The fashion designers. I mean, there's art on that wall everywhere you go. What does it say about us? Where do you see our mind, like 3, 4, 5 years from now with this kind of thinking that you're bringing in place, Musta?
It's process by process. Again, they have to see these things.
Yes.
People need to see, and once they see, then they can kind of like find a way of incorporating those kind of ideas that we're trying to show them into their architectural, or artistic impression ideas or concepts. And even people that have the potential
Yeah.
to put up big time infrastructures. Maybe site has also thought of us.
Yeah.
And because most of the people that have the money want to do the arcades, want to do the shops.
Yeah.
It's maybe because of how they get the money to build this thing, maybe loans, so they want that quick back because the bank is probably in their case about paying back and things
But
like
one
that.
film can pay. One film can pay all of that money.
Yes.
Even less than-
Now, what they don't know is that this side of the coin,
Yes.
it's still quite virgin, and there's a lot of money.
Yes.
But they can give us the terrace on top. Have your building and give us the terrace.
You see how creative.
Yes, I mean, it's what I'm saying.
The creative
For example,
think very fast. Yes.
how many terraces are even open
Yes.
on these buildings?
Yeah.
You see it?
Come to think about it.
Yeah, how many? You know,
We don't know
we've
until
tried to
we
look
have
for this.
some of the
Yeah, we've
places.
tried looking for these things.
Maybe
and
we'll
maybe
bring- yeah.
after they've seen this kind of initiatives,
Yes.
then they'll be like, oh, wait a minute. I have that space on the topmost floor. Nothing is happening there.
Yeah.
Let's cage it, make it safe, and let the creatives come and utilize it.
Wow.
Because I know so many rooftops,
Yes.
but even they have locked them and even welded the doors. Well, I know there's people who want to fly over there and
Yes,
do
and
some kind
just,
of things,
yes.
But at the same time, maybe on the positive side, these are spaces that we as creatives can use.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I dive to you, Robin. Noah, Robin, what do you think?
Yeah. I think that is really nice, and I like the fact that you can work and also have this space of like relaxing, and it makes it makes you happy to go
To work.
Yeah,
to go there, then feel like work.
Because you know you can have like a nice like break, and you don't like feel only like working.
Yes.
And I think it's really good to have those two space and having a pleasant place where you feel comfortable and a little bit at home. Not really, but
yes, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
You don't. You feel like you're in this zone that is enabling you to do other things, and not letting you feel like you're actually working.
Yes.
That is how creatives want to work. They
Make
don't
you
want to feel
safe
like you're
too.
working.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's where we are so far.
Okay.
And we would love to grow. Definitely, we've got a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
We've got that artistic impression of the cafeteria.
Yeah.
So we're getting more space actually to have the cafeteria, the smoking zone. Creatives, the smoking zone has to be there. We're thinking the way creatives literally think.
Yeah.
And then it's not only for coming and sitting and working per se.
Yeah.
It's also for you to come and hang out in a zone where people talk about things that you do understand.
Create connection.
Yeah,
So for
exactly.
example, I want to understand something about sound.
Yes, there's 1, 2, 3 guys sounds well is sitting there, and then you just want to come and sit and have that conversation. You don't necessarily need to come there and say I have come to work.
In fact, we have a sound man who want to send to you.
You don't have to feel like you're coming to work.
Yes,
we would like you to come,
Yeah.
just like you go and sit with your friends in the evening somewhere and just have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
We would like you to come and sit in this place where people talk about things that you relate with.
Yeah.
You relate to, you know.
Wow.
So it's literally even for that.
Wow.
It's not just coming and say, oh no, if I go there I have to work. No.
Yeah.
Come sit, have a discussion. People have laptops,
Cup
they're
of
going to show
coffee.
you.
And
there's
if the
coffee,
atmosphere
there's
is like good, the creativity
exactly. There's creativity juices all over the place.
Yeah.
And then also, like, if I have maybe like a contract I'm working on, and maybe I need some information,
Guidance
like
and all
guidance
that.
from others.
Yes.
I know when I go to this place,
actually,
I'm going to meet so and so.
That actually reminds me.
Yes.
I've got a friend called, when you brought about that whole contract thing,
Yeah.
there's a friend of mine, she's called Saad, she's called Asmahani Saad.
Yeah.
We've had a discussion with her before about...
She's a lawyer. She used to
Yes.
be my health and fitness student.
Yeah,
5 years in class.
she is a friend. And a few months back before the second wave actually came in, she came actually and saw the place. I invited her over. And she's ventured into law, but in an angle that we creatives need to harness stuff from her, and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So it's one of the things we had actually discussed, that she could come over and we invite filmmakers or people that are into production to come and understand how we're supposed to probably lay out our contracts, to understand how to do things in a lawful manner, or we need to know our safe zones and stuff like that. So when you mentioned it, the contracts and all that, Asmani would like to do that for the creatives.
Wow.
That's
Yes.
So I think we are beginning. You see the coming of the creative space is already bringing out something that we were always suffering with, which is the intellectual properties, the royalties. How do
yes. She wants to discuss all the things with us so we understand them very well. You see, sometimes when the things are only written and you read them as an article or in the papers or on your social media platforms, it doesn't sink in. But if you have a person like Asmani and then you're firing a question directly to her, so if so and so happened, you know, what do I do? And you're having that direct answer from a person in real time. I think it makes you understand these things in a much better way.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes, Stella, we want to just wind up the show. Our time is fast spent, but we want to go through to you now, you and Robin, to just take us through your bit of the work you're doing right now. It's born out of a creative space in your backyard in France, and unfortunately we feel sorry that you've now shifted and left us here.
I'm here.
Yes, yeah, but yes, but we want to ask you guys, so from yourself, what lessons can we pick from some of the things that you have been exposed to as far as the creative spaces are concerned in France? And then from her, she's a textile engineer, or engineer?
Designer, yeah.
Designer and engineer, we'll call it. What lessons can we pick from you? Why are you studying the course? That's number one. Two, what problems do you want to solve in the textile industry? And who do you want to work with? You also said you're in photography. Can you just run us through very quickly what you want to do and what are you doing in Uganda at the moment?
Okay. So actually, I'm just graduated from my school in Paris, called École du Perret. And I'm a photographer, and I also like the point of what I do is I'm taking photo, and after once I have my photo, I print them on like different materials.
Okay.
And I met Stella.
Okay.
And she had this project with the bar clothes, so I started to print my photo on bar clothes. And at this moment, there were like new materials happening, like these bar clothes with a printed image. And the way I printed it was with a laser engraving. So it's like a burning laser that burns the photo through on the material.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that would be very interesting for Musta's grandmother who's a Uganda.
I know how you're tampering. Backcloth.
Yes, backcloth, yes. Continue.
Yeah, and so from that, we started to collaborate to make a dress.
Yeah.
Where like Stella do the style.
Yeah.
And I do the print.
Okay.
And so I'm putting myself in like, I'm doing photography, I'm doing printing, and also I'm working with like other creative. And for example, on this project with Stella, I'm the textile engineer, but actually I do like different stuff, I would say. And from this dress, we thought that it was interesting to connect like, so my photo, I'm taking like landscape, nature photos in France, and we printed on the bar clothes. And for example, there is tree on the photo, and that makes connection with the bar clothes that come from trees. And because the photo like come from France, we thought it was interesting to make this like connection between like the French landscape and nature to the bar clothes that represent actually,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you seen the king already? He just had his 28th coronation. Backcloth is a traditional thing that comes from Buganda. So it would be nice to hear what the Buganda kingdom will say about this project and this cultural collaboration.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Have you, Stella?
Not yet, but I would love, if I get access, would love to go and meet him and present our project. But actually, when we got into the country, our host was the MP in Fort Portal and Ministry of Tourism. And it's part of Uganda, where they also do backcloth. So because it was our host place, so we decided to do that documentary there because we didn't have access to places in Buganda where we were supposed to initially do it from. So I would love to meet the king as well.
Okay.
I will meet.
Yes. For sure. I mean, from the studio where you are right now, the second deputy category of Buganda is not sitting very far away.
Okay.
Yes, so it might be very easy for you to make that connection quite fast. But yeah, Stella, the question that we want to wind up with today, I mean, you now live in France. You are a fashion designer and a styler at the same time, as well as the visual artist. I mean, what lessons can we pick from France, from you, that can share with Musta right now, who is seated next to you, so that we can make this creative space that we have in Uganda more attractive? And, you know, how do we bring all these other people we're talking about in? Do you have some, you know, nuggets of truth or ideas that you can share as we wind up the show?
I think the most important thing I've learned, and I think it would work really well with us, is the collaboration. We could have this space, and it's not like everyone has to come there and share the knowledge. But then you could have like sessions, so like Zoom sessions, whereby you interact with everyone, all the creatives around the world.
Yes.
You invite people, like today we're going to talk about this. So all the people who are interested in that topic would be online. Some are physically in the room, some are around.
Online, yes.
So you share this global thinking. And then also it helps us like to have workshops. It would be very easy for me to organize like a group of creatives, maybe musicians, writers, to say, okay, now let's go and visit Uganda. Let's go and do a collaboration in Uganda with other creatives. And when we get to Uganda, we know we are straight going into this home. It's not the things of gambling. Now we call this one, when I left France, the phone was on. When I get here, the phones are not being answered. And I think that is going to make us look professional in what we are doing. And it will give opportunities for the young ones, even like those in school, who even fear. Sometimes someone would fear when they hear like Abdal. They say, no, that is a big person. Can't even, how do you even approach him? So it's this fear. But then if you find yourself in the same space, then that fear gets away. And then you're able to ask guidance from that person you think is very superior to you. For me, I think collaboration is the main thing we should focus on.
And creative network.
Collective creativity.
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you very much, guys, for coming to the show today. I wanted to give you a parting shots. Starting with you, Robin. Is this your first time in Uganda?
Yeah.
In Africa.
In Africa.
Yeah.
In Africa, as a continent. Wow, wow. And you are landed to the Pearl of Africa.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And I went to the
Straight
Pearl of Uganda. So I'm at the Pearl.
Wow. Yes. But thank you for coming to the Pearl of Pearls and Pearls of of Africa. Your one parting shot, what is that one best thing that you have so far seen from Uganda that when you go back to France, you will tell every student,
Well,
everyone in France to say, this is it, let's go to Uganda and do this?
I felt that everywhere I've been, people were really open about showing me like their culture and like, I don't know, inviting me. Even here, like I'm so grateful for being here. Like I met, as Stella said, like the Minister of Tourism, of Culture, and that's something that really surprised me, kind of, because everybody was really open to communicate with me and show me how it their world. Like I would say.
So you think when you go back to France, you will bring the whole collaboration down to Uganda here?
What you mean?
When you go back to France, are you going to bring all your friends who are into the creative space and the creative thinking, the creative industry to Uganda?
I mean, if they want to go, I'd be like, yeah, you should go. After, I don't know if I'm going to pay for their tickets to go, you know.
No, I'm sure Alliance Française could make a very good contribution to the students to come and learn from here. Like most have said, if we have those collaborations going on, that would be good. But thank you very much for coming to the program. And Stella, what would be your parting shot today?
I think this time around I'll come to Uganda, leave alone the lockdown. I think there is a lot of creativity coming up, more than before. Things are moving at the first, very fast, and I'm so grateful. People, they were not sleeping during the lockdown. Yes, and I can't see post-COVID what it's going to be like when everything is open. The musicians are allowed to sing. Everyone is free to do whatever they're doing because there is a law that is being prepared for the after the post-COVID.
Okay. And Musta, what's your parting shot from today?
My parting shot today.
Just like musicians are receiving help from the government.
Did you see that list of only 17 the Uganda Music Stars Association of only, and I saw the figures there. Yes.
So ideally, I'm thinking and suggesting that if an endorsement can also come up to this particular side of the creative industry, that would be awesome. Anything to keep people's heads up, especially during this time, people are frustrated. So anything to keep their spirits up there, so they can still have those great concepts running through their minds, or even coming down to note them because they are sure that I have a meal today or tomorrow. Things like that. So maybe they should think of how they can come in as well and give a hand.
Wow.
That's my parting shot.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being part of the Creative Industry Talk, growing big and better. Mosta here, we've given you that one parting shot that that if you could just share the invoices with everybody and reach out to everyone and make everyone feel happy. And of course, until next week, we want to say thank you very much to Mosta, and thank you very much to Faizo Chiwewa, Lunkulu, and Stella Tal, and of course Noah for coming into the program today. And we're wishing you the very best of your program, of your project going forward. And to all of you guys, today we're not going to read your comments, but we want you to keep it coming. We will be able to read the comment next week. And if you have an idea for Faizo Chiwewa and Lunkulu, please share it. If you have an idea for Mosta, please share it. If you have an idea for Stella Tal, share it. And of course, my sister from another mother right here, Noah Robin. If you have an idea, please share it, and she's open for collaborations. To all of us here, to the camera crew, thank you very much. To the sound guy, thank you very much. We're going to buy for you malakwang, okay, today. And of course, to all of you guys out there, keep creating and keep doing like Stella says. Until next time, we'll be right back here. This is a space for us to talk and talk and talk creativity until the chicken cross the road and go home.
To do the kind of work that like I do, you need to educate yourself. We are unfortunate that we don't have a school of arts management here in this country, and I don't think anywhere in East Africa. So it's very difficult for someone to understand the scope of the work that we do. But if you want to learn, if anyone who is a programmer out there and who wants to really engage in these theories of learning to do things differently, you have to study. Like, I think the bottom line, the basis of this business is really to study culture economics. When you study culture economics, you will understand the process of understanding culture. It's a very public, good kind of approach. Yeah. You put yourself there as a sacrifice. The way our president said, sacrificed his hand and kept this to himself. Yes. So you also have, it is serious. If you have to understand that when you learn culture economics, you understand the basics of arts management, the basics of programming. So when you do that, then you understand that when you put yourself into this job, you are sacrificing yourself for the better good of the rest of the industry. And that means that you're going to put your interests aside, and that's what many people don't understand, and put the interests of the industry to be your first priorities.
Yeah.
When people ask me, why are you always working? Because I decided to make 99% of my time to work. And I decided not to be an artist because I realized that if I am an artist and I want to be an arts manager, I'll not be able to do the same. I put my 99% of the time in my work, and then the rest 1% I share it with the people next to me.
There's always that influence of our parents, okay? With Ugandan parents or African parents for that case, books before everything else.
Yeah.
Okay, so how is it with your parents? Do they support you playing basketball, or it's these things of you have to hide and make sure no basketball photo of you goes up on social media? How is it with your parents?
My parents are very supportive.
Yeah.
They are very, very supportive. I actually thank God for that, because we have had fellow teammates where they have to hide, like you've said, hide or facilitate themselves for anything and in everything about basketball.
Yeah.
But my parents are very supportive. When it came to the time of, I think I'll make it on team, what, the passports, they made sure I get it on time before even anything, before it was even confirmed. The COVID, they made sure I had the shots like on time.
Yeah.
If it is the shoes that I need, I'm not going to hustle. They're going to give me that money and I buy the shoes. Basically, even if I say I have training tomorrow, at this time, they'll give me the transport and everything. They're very supportive. That is for sure. Yeah. So I don't know how to hustle when it comes to basketball. Yeah.
Coffee industry is very wide, it's very big, it's very full of opportunities. Don't sit there and say, I have nothing to do. You can join the industry. You can get whatever you want. If you give it time, invest in it. By giving it time, don't look for money, don't look for big salary at first. First learn. After learning, you'll get how much amount you need. Yeah. In coffee industry, there's no like, barista should get this amount of money. No, it depends on your knowledge. Yeah. What you know is what you get. You cannot be like having junior experience and asking for experienced one. No. You can join now. Good thing, everything is simple. It's easy. Don't sit there and say, oh no, I'm scared to join this. No, it's very simple. You can make. Yeah, it's very simple. It's not so difficult. Simple, very simple, very enjoyable. You can do everything when you're enjoying. You can do your coffee. You can serve your customers. Coffee create friendship. Coffee gives you a job. Even if you are not working in a cafe, maybe you can go in different field, but still in coffee industry. Yes.
Let's pull up the camera.
My first advice to my students, the people I train, the people I talk to, is that at every stage of coffee, from the farm to the cup, you can gain something. So I first get to know, like, you as you, what's your passion? Is it going to the garden? Is it going to the factory? Or is it like being a supplier? First of all, we are working for people. We're working for people. But our dreams are being self-employed. Yes. So in coffee, if I'm mentoring you, if like I want you to get something good, improve on your life, me, I can pass through roasting. I can teach you how, like I can teach you or train you the part of coffee roasting. So within that process, you like will be making some money somewhere. And where does that money comes from? You buy your coffee, you roast, you pack it, and you sell. Of course, there are many cafes that are opening. We have our organizations here in Uganda, like they are boosting up the consumption. We have business people that are starting up cafes, but there is that gap. There's that gap of supply. There's that gap of supply. Big companies are exporting, but we can also be the big company at our youth stage. We roast our coffee, we pack it, and we sell it. Let me take another example. You can be a good person in computer graphic designing. So when I introduce that idea, you can plan the way of branding that coffee, how we can market that coffee. Yes. So we can, like, at the end of the process, me and you will be having something to put in the pocket, or to save on the account.
It's another good day to have coffee. Welcome to House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Ateng. This is the Coffee Break Show. Remember, you can catch us live. The show is live right now on our YouTube channel at House of Talent Uganda live stream, or you can head down to our Twitter handle, that is at HTV1. Or if you're on Facebook, you can also catch us at House of Talent Uganda. That is on Facebook. Make sure to share the show far and wide. Send us your comments. If you have questions, if you have any remarks, let us know. On today's show, the Messiah is back. And I'm not talking about the second coming of Jesus. I'm talking about the coming back of the Coffee Messiah, the original guy on the show. He's back with us here today. And for those who are wondering who the Messiah is, none other than Mr. Amon Mukisa.
Hey man.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, man.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, but we've been in touch.
Yeah, we've been in touch.
Yeah.
I think you are out, getting converts and, getting more disciples to come to your side.
It's a good thing that we've gotten many.
Yeah.
Yeah, and can be as seen on the show here. We have very many faces that have come up, very many new people that are in coffee. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Good thing that at least now the visibility of coffee and people are getting to know coffee, So it's a good thing that we've seen very many new faces come through.
Yeah.
And it's very, very massive when you look out there. People are joining the coffee industry.
Yeah.
Like someone tells you, okay, I watched this show, I heard about this, I read about this in coffee, and I decided to come and study coffee.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
So we're doing a good job.
Yeah, we're doing a good job. Well done, the coffee break.
Well, apart from that, what have you been up to? I've seen on your social media, you're still doing your GNN. For those of you who don't know, Amon has his page, Gather Now Network on YouTube. You should head over there. Some very good content. You should actually follow him and let another person know. Support Amon. He has good stuff. Just go there and check it out. I also saw some of your posts, some coffee stuff. I think you're running some trainings and all this. What have you been up to basically?
Well, it's been a roller coaster because, as Uganda went on, yes, we haven't fully opened up, but people have started moving.
Yeah.
So back to our businesses, like the coffee shops, different businesses of coffee, people are starting to crowd it.
Yeah.
The queue is so much. So we tend to get together as different parties in the coffee industry, so that we can bring back the egg game in the coffee industry, because how you sit down and relax because, okay, you've not been busy, people you've been receiving 10 a day, 20 a day, but now people have started coming back. It means you have to be prepared for Jan come 2022 when the guy said it's going to open up. So we've been in preparations. We've been in preparations to open up. So doing trainings, doing coffee awarenesses, putting everything in touch, it's supposed to be here, let it be here. Give it a direction, the right direction where it's supposed to be, we give it that direction. So that's what we've been up to. But besides that, normal stuff, chilling, work, something like that.
Well, it's good that you guys have really been running all these programs, and that is what we want to focus, our show on today. But before we get there, we're still getting to know. You've been doing awareness. The economy is getting back to the place where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to open up January, hopefully, but with this new variant coming in, you also really can't be sure, if the economy will really open. So with the people coming back, in the event that we don't open in January, okay, and maybe we go to another lockdown, okay, are there some strategies that you guys have come up with to make sure that, you don't go back into a pitfall like it was before?
It's going to be hard not to open up. It's really, really going to be. A country sitting or being locked for 2 years, what it means to the economy. So that's why even the president of Uganda, when he was addressing a couple of weeks ago, he said, come what may, we're opening up in January. But in an event where something goes wrong and we don't open up, before, how companies have coped up. Through the use of food companies, through the use of the internet, to distribute their products, besides the beverages, but the products. Coffee has different products, as you know. But companies have adopted to that. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine and I told him, there are various guys who are not going to let spaces come next year. They won't rent. Because they will realize, okay, I've been paying over 10 million a month for this space, but I've been making over maybe 15 million or 20 million. And now you're telling me to rent a space whereby in a lockdown, at least I've achieved my 11 million. Okay, so they will weigh the two options and they're like, okay, why not? So it's going to be hard to see people grumble for spaces, grumble for what. So they will adopt to this internet because they have really mastered how it's being done. Actually, when you asked me at the beginning what we've been up to, we've been trying to see what new options can we have to market our different products of coffee. How can we use the internet very well? Because you can never understand the internet like fully. Even those who are like leads on the internet, they still go back and research, you know. So we've also been trying to do different researches, you know, getting curious about how best can we do this, how best can we market our coffee products, how best can we reach different audiences in the coffee industry. That's why, okay, a company I work with is Enduro Coffee. That's why you're seeing, besides the lockdown, Enduro Coffee is opening up various branches. You find yourself in Kapchora, there is a branch. In Buama, there is a branch. Around town, there are like over 3 branches that have opened up, and more are coming. So that's the kind of work that we've been like trying to do. So if we don't open up, it will be easy for us, because at least now we are next to our customers. You know, if you're around, maybe let me say Naria, if I have a branch around maybe Chiwatle, I can easily walk over there. Okay, my bike, you know. So instead of like coming from Cementi, going to Naria, that distance, even the coffee will get cold, or whatever product I'm transferring will get cold or bad, because coffee is a perishable good, you know that. So it's easy for us like to connect. The distance is not long. That's one way. But also, like I said, the use of the internet. The use of the internet. So we need to adopt to that, because people have realized that the internet can do more good than harm.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
I was seeing in town, and just even here, just outside the studio, the user guys have decided to make, you know, mobile shops for coffee. Okay, so does Enduro have any plans of the same, or you guys are just sticking to, you know, permanent structures?
Yes. Okay, now the spokesperson of Enduro right here. Yes, Enduro, you know, Enduro's vision is end child vulnerability globally through coffee and other related products by partnering with others. So Enduro Coffee, it doesn't have those stores or those juicers or those small bikes, no. But for it, what it did was, okay, how can we get through the community deep down by not going there as a bicycle or with a car or with a van, but we need to be in the community with them, physically with them, live with them, give them jobs, you know. So besides the Enduro Coffee Limited company, what they decided to do was, okay, I think I used the wrong word over there. What we decided to do, what we decided to do was, let's go to the community, and we started up the project called the Enduro Community Project. So this Enduro Community Project is all about like going down to the people, giving them jobs, but they have stalls in these communities. You find a stall in Kamocha, you find a stall in downtown Chisenyi, you find a stall in like those small communities. This is because not everyone can afford a cup of coffee at 10K or 12K. But this cup of coffee by Enduro Coffee Community Project, you find a cup of coffee at 1,500, but a good cup of coffee, you know, like the one they will take at 10K. So this is one of reaching out compared to, okay, I'm not trying to diminish this whole van projects. They are good because they improve or they increase coffee consumption in Uganda. But for us, we decided to do it that way because coffee is people. Instead of coming and go away, okay, I'm going to come and park here today, and you find me here with my van with an espresso machine doing coffee, and then tomorrow you find me in Chireka. No, first we're like, let's stay here, we live in people, given the fact that coffee is people.
Interesting. It's actually good to see that we're using coffee to, you know, reach some people in the community. Do you have any examples or any stories of, you know, certain lives that have been changed? I know that you're always up and down in Kapchora here and there. So I know that you must have met some people or heard of some stories where people's lives were changed because of the work you guys are doing. If you could just share that with us.
You know, I do trainings of different baristas that we get into. I don't do like outside trainings, but I do trainings of in-house. So when I'm called certain times to go and train or orient these people, the smile I see on their faces, the reactions I see when I'm interacting with them is so touching. Because they realize that, okay, we've been knowing coffee, but we didn't know that coffee is as good as this when we've added value on it. You know, there is a lady called Mariam. She's doing she's in these NGO community projects. Mariam, she lives in she left Mubende here to Kampala, but she didn't have a job. Okay, she got, you know how you can leave the village and you come to town, like you stay with your auntie or uncle and you're expecting your uncle or aunt to get you a job, and things don't work out.
Kampala refuses.
Kampala refuses, you know. So Mariam stays there, not until she heard about this project. And because there's a team that runs it. So she registers for this project. And Enduro community calls her. So when she reaches, they tell her what she's going to do and everything. They give her the orientation. Of course, now that's me giving her the orientation. She's like, Amon, did you know that we grow coffee at home, but I didn't know all these things? So you see how coffee is changing the life of this person. She's getting to realize, okay, I would have utilized this opportunity way back, but I didn't know about it. You know? So the ignorance in around people at least is going to shift a little bit so that they can get awareness about coffee. And that's how it's going to change the lives of people. Because now, just imagine someone is having a stall of coffee, a courtesy of Enduro community, and now is making maybe 10 cups of coffee, literally, like averagely. Okay, the boda guy, maybe a certain Musa over there has come. Oh, Mariam, because it's now to be their usual, you know? So you're giving this person a culture of taking coffee. You're changing his life. So that's the impact of coffee through this lady called Mariam.
Interesting story. You know, would love to see more of those stories actually happening. And I know they are there, just that, you know, sometimes we're really not exposed to them. But I believe that coffee is actually changing lives.
People are being changed by coffee. Especially the fact that now Uganda, what it's doing is a very, very good thing. Like, at least has made sure that coffee products are enriched within the people. How much they don't know them so much, but if someone is passing somewhere, they see a coffee, maybe flyer, maybe a coffee shop somewhere, maybe a coffee message somewhere on TV. Okay, they'll be like, you see, what would they? But at least they have seen it. Then next time when they see it, they react to it. That's a good thing.
It's not like back in the times when we had only Kawa coffee. That's the only
coffee, Kawa and
Now we know a bit more about coffee. Well, if you've just tuned into the show, this is the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent Television. The Messiah is back. He's here with us in the studio. He has been out getting converts, and you've seen some of the converts on the show. We've been having really very good discussions, and today we're going to discuss some more stuff with Amon in the studio. But we'll take a break right now. But remember, we are live on our Facebook, our YouTube, and our Twitter. Make sure to tune in. If there's someone who needs to be watching the show, just let them know we're on. We're going to take a break right now. Don't go anywhere. Grab a cup of coffee. We'll be right back after this.
I think most female feel like being a barista is more of a male job, or being a farmer is a male thing, or being a quality controller. Yet they don't know that there are other perfect people that we are looking at. So we want to bring this gender equality into the coffee business. I would thank this the International Women Coffee Alliance. It has really done a very good job to encourage women into the coffee business. When you look at coffee farmers or coffee processors, most of them are women. When you look at the quality controllers, they say that women are the best coffee testers. Why? Because they're very subjected to spices when they're cooking. They get a lot of flowers from us. So they test a lot of things, ice cream, yogurt, sweets, what. So they are good cup testers. Yes.
So most of them should actually, take opportunity.
I would actually encourage all the female to participate in the coffee business, whether owning a coffee shop, whether analyzing coffee, barista, farming. We really need them.
Welcome back to the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Ateng. Remember, we are live on our Twitter at HTV1, that's House of Talent Uganda, on our Facebook at House of Talent Uganda, and on our YouTube at House of Talent Uganda. Live stream, make sure to catch the show. And if you can't catch it right now, you can always catch it later. There will be a replay. But in the house with me today is Amon Mukisa, aka the Coffee Messiah, back from going out there and just spreading the coffee gospel. He's been doing really great things out there with different programs with Endiro, training different baristas. You know, it's always amazing to meet a barista and, you know, you tell him, I know this guy called Amon, and he starts saying, but I know Amon is the one who taught me A, B, C, D.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling, eh?
Yeah, it's always a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Today's topic, I think the last show we had Katawazi Gerald inside here, and
it was a nice show.
Yeah, you watched the show. So he was talking. We were talking about how Uganda is actually the second highest when it comes to coffee production, after Ethiopia in Africa. Okay, and I think the goal of UCDA is to either match Ethiopia or even be greater than that. But we came to the realization that from the past, okay, if we go back to SST in primary school. There was something that we called cash crops. Okay, so we had coffee, and then we had cotton. Okay, so basically what the missionaries or the white people did back in the day, they gave us this thought of when you grow coffee, you want to make money out of coffee. And I think the same thing has stuck till today. If you go, like the example you gave us with that lady that is working with, you know, the Endiro community program, she says they grow coffee at home, but she had no idea that coffee could actually do all these things. Okay, because in their minds, when you grow the coffee, sell the berries, your work is done. They don't realize that we can actually also consume the same coffee. Okay, so our topic for today is how the different stakeholders, okay, have to play their part in this coffee industry to make it better. And perhaps we'll start with the farmers themselves, because that is where everything starts. Okay, we have a situation whereby a farmer has never taken coffee in his life, but he has acres of coffee. Okay, so how can these farmers, okay, play their part in the coffee industry of Uganda to make it get better, to help us become #1 in Africa, but also to make sure that coffee itself in Uganda is really put above, you know, other things like tea and all this stuff?
Well, Emma, to be honest to you, gone are the days when we had farmers who are illiterate growing different crops, growing coffee, growing cotton. These days we have literate farmers who have gone to school, who have graduated in farming practices, agriculture, you know. Last time Ibra was here saying that he studied biochemistry, by something like that, but she's also related to crops or farming. So these days we have literate farmers. So it makes me wonder, why don't we have good practicing methods, farming methods, deep down in our farms that cannot bring us to a point whereby we're going to reach a certain time and we are falling into a ditch? Okay, if it was like maybe farmers are illiterate these days, they would say, okay, we need trainings for these farmers. But when you look at the farmers these days, they're illiterate. So I would say farmers need to be trained. Yes, not all are trained, but why don't we utilize these people who have gone to school, who have graduated in this industry to do these things, at least to train these farmers? But also UCDA, the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, yes, it has tried its level best to at least ensure that farmers know what they do. At least they have done that by at least knowing each farmer in Uganda. Okay, you cannot know each and specific farmer, but like an association that runs them. That's why I've recently called up, like, if you want to start growing coffee in Uganda, you have to register. So this is like a plan, or this is like a strategy to plan for these farmers. Okay, if we have 5,000 farmers in a village, how are you going to plan for them? How are you going to have them grow the best coffee in the village, so that when it's exported or brought to a national level, it competes, you know? So instead of like having a farmer grow coffee anywhere, they harvest it. Okay, that's the Chiboko coffee. They harvest it and then dry it and then sell it off. And you realize that the coffee exports, like in Europe, over 80% of their coffee is exported. Where does it come from?
Africa.
Africa, and maybe more other countries. But those other countries, maybe like Brazil, you find that if they're producing maybe 50 million bags of coffee a year, you find that maybe 50% of their coffee is consumed by the natives. So maybe they're exporting 50%. But for us, we're exporting 80 or 85%. And without added value on that coffee. So these are the things that farmers need to know. Okay, when I'm growing coffee, how can I improve its quality? How can I add a value on it? How can I get the best quality in these coffee cherries that I'm going to harvest? How can I space the coffee tree from the other, not to be affected? For example, I was watching the news yesterday. It's so bad. In Mubende, there is a pest, a crop pest that has attacked coffee trees. It starts from the root. So there's no way how you can see it on top that, okay, Kana kamuli or this flower is being affected by this pest. But for it, it starts from the root. So you just see the plant dying. So it's so bad that it's happening. But if farmers know how to deal with this, at least maybe if I know that my coffee plant is maybe 8 meters or 12 meters away from the other coffee plant, if this pest attacks this coffee plant, the other one, at least it will take long when I realize it early now. So instead of like putting here a coffee tree and then you put the coffee tree next to each other. So such things, farmers need to know them so that when they're doing this and it's exported, or it's or it's harvested and then brought to the consumption part of it, we don't have a bad quality cup of coffee, or we don't have a bad quality type of coffee that's coming on market. Because at the end of it all, it will affect the overall consumption of coffee or the overall coffee market in Uganda. So the mistake done by the farmer will affect the end result of the coffee consumption or the coffee chain. But the good thing done by the farmer, it will represent the good things like at the end.
Two questions before we move on to the next category. One, do you think it would be a good idea for us to put a cap on how much coffee we actually export? Because if we're exporting 80% and we're consuming 20%, okay, wouldn't it be a wise thing to say, okay, you know what, 50% goes out, 50% stays here, so we force people here to actually consume the coffee? You know, what are your thoughts about that?
You see, one thing I love about being a barista is that you get conversations around various people. So last week, as I was on station, sometimes I get back on station and work, you know, because it's a good thing to interact, have that skill going. So this lady works with Uber, the other side in Europe, London. So she comes at my station, she asks for an espresso. She asked me, how much is it? I tell her it's 6K. She's like, what? Your coffee is too expensive here. And yet you sell coffee, you grow coffee here. And I asked her, how much would this amount cost a cup of coffee in London? She told me 6K here. The way you sell your coffee here, in London, 6K can buy 3 cups of coffee. Then I realized that's why in London or UK or US, in those countries, even this person we see that Avelak Street lives on a street can be able to buy a cup of coffee compared to us in Uganda. So to answer your question, I think it's a point of UCDA or policymakers, which is the government, coming up with various ways on how to reduce the expensive what are you going to use, like the commodity that you're selling on market. How are you going to value it so that you as a government can benefit, so that you can run the country also, but me as a person who's also buying it, I benefit, like not buying it so much compared to other countries. So policymakers have to do this for us, not us, people who are taking coffee. Because when I jam not taking coffee, the government won't benefit. Because I pay tax on that cup of coffee. I also benefit by maybe getting the healthy part of it and maybe, enjoying coffee. But to help us arrive to this point of like having coffee be reduced in terms of pricing, it's the government that has to do that. Me as a person, I don't have authority. I even don't have a minute authority on that.
Yeah, you see, we're discussing with Katawazi last week, and like today we're discussing, you know, what are the roles of different people, and each stakeholder has their part, and each stakeholder should have their voice. Okay, so we came across topics like, do we even have a barista association or a barista forum? Do we have a farmers forum that has a voice? You know, so it's like the coffee industry has so many detachments.
Yeah, Emma, you see, thing is, these things are there. There's a farmers association, there are baristas associations, but the arm that's taking the, I'm not trying to criticize the UCDA here, but the arm that's taking the coffee industry in Uganda is paying so much attention to less important things compared to things that are more important.
What
Let me give you an
less
example.
important